24. Love. Sofia Ivanovna, as I later came to know her, was one of those rare, no longer young women who are born for family life, but whom fate has denied that happiness, and who, as a result of that denial, decide to lavish on a chosen few all the love for children and her husband that has been stored, grown, and nurtured in their hearts for so long. And the supply of love in no longer young women of that kind is so inexhaustible that even when the chosen are many, a great deal of love still remains, which they lavish on everyone around them, on the good and bad people that come across in their lives. There are three kinds of love: 1. Beautiful love; 2. Self-immolating love; 3. Practical love. I'm not speaking of the love of a young man for a young woman, or the reverse. I fear such tenderness, and have been so unlucky in life that I never saw in love of that kind a single spark of truth, but only mendacity, in which sensuality, conjugal relations, money, and a desire to bind or unbind one's hands so muddled the feeling that it was impossible to make any sense of it all. I'm speaking of a love for others that, depending on the greater or lesser power of the soul, is focused on a single person or several people, or is lavished on many. Love for a mother, a father, a brother or children, or for a comrade, a woman friend, or a compatriot, of a love for others. Beautiful love is love for the beauty of the feeling itself and its expression. For people who love this way, the object of love is lovable only to the extent that he arouses the pleasurable feelings in the awareness and expression of which they find enjoyment. Those who love with a beautiful love care little about mutuality or circumstances that have no bearing on the beauty or pleasure of their feeling. They frequently exchange the objects of their love, since their main goal is the constant arousal of the pleasurable feelings of love. To sustain that feeling in themselves, they constantly speak in the most elegant terms of their love, not only to its object, but also to everyone else, including those who care nothing about it. In our country, people of a certain class who love beautifully are not only tell everyone about their love, but invariably do so in French. It's a strange and ridiculous thing to say, but I'm sure that there have been and still are many people of a certain milieu, especially women, whose love for their friends, husbands, and children would be destroyed at once were they simply forbidden to talk about it in French. The second kind, self-immolating love, is the act of sacrificing oneself for the object of love without considering whether the object is better or worse off for those sacrifices. There's no distress to which I wouldn't subject myself to prove to the world and to him or to her the extent of my devotion. Such is the formula for this kind of love. People who love this way never believe in mutuality, since it's worthier to sacrifice myself for someone who doesn't appreciate me, and are always sickly, which increases the merit of their sacrifice. They are for the most part steadfast, since it would be hard for them to forfeit the value of the sacrifices they've made for the objects of their love, and they're always ready to die to prove to him or her their complete devotion, even though they neglect the minor everyday demonstrations of love that require no particular eruptions of self-immolation. They don't care if you ate or slept well, or are enjoying yourself, or are healthy. They'll do nothing to obtain those comforts for you, but even if it's within their power to do so. But face a bullet, jump into water or fire, or pine away from love, they're always ready for those, if only given the opportunity. Moreover, people who are prone to self-immolating love are always proud of their love, as well as demanding, jealous, and suspicious, and, strange to say, ready to wish dangers on their objects from which to rescue them, calamities about which to console them, and even vices in which to correct them. You live alone in the country with your wife, who loves you with a self-immolating love. You're healthy and secure. You have things to do that you enjoy, but your loving wife is so weak that she can manage neither the household, which has been turned over to the servants, nor the children, who have been given up to nurses, nor even any occupation that she might like. And all because she loves nothing but you. She seems to be ill, but not wanting to distress you, she's reluctant to tell you. She seems to be bored, but for your sake she's prepared to be bored her whole life. It seems to oppress her that you're intently absorbed in your activities, whatever they may be: hunting, books, managing the estate, service, for she sees that those activities will be your undoing, but says nothing and endures them. But then you fall ill, and your loving wife forgets her own illness, and despite your entreaties not to torment herself needlessly, is continually at your bedside. And every second you feel on you her compassionate gaze that says, "Well, I said as much, but I don't care, and even so I won't leave you." In the morning you're a little better, and you go into the next room. It's unheated and a mess. The soup's the soup that's the only thing you can eat hasn't been ordered from the cook, nor has your medicine been sent for, but although exhausted by her nocturnal vigil, your loving wife still looks at you with the same compassionate gaze, walks on tiptoe, and in a whisper gives the servants vague, unfamiliar instructions. You want to read, but your loving wife says to you with a sigh that she knows you won't listen to her and will be angry with her, although she's quite used to it. But it would be better if you didn't read. You want to take a walk around the room, but it would be better if you didn't do that either. You want to talk to a friend who has come, but it would be better for you not to talk. At night you have a fever again, and you want to doze off, but your loving wife, thin, pale, and sighing from time to time, sits across from you in an armchair in the half-light of the night lamp, and with every movement, every little sound, provokes feelings of irritation and impatience in you. You have a servant with whom you have lived nearly 20 years and are used to, and who takes excellent care of you, and does so with pleasure, since he's well rested during the day and gets paid for his services. But she won't permit him to look after you. She does everything herself with her feeble, inept fingers, which you can't help following with a suppressed hostility, as they vainly try to open a vial, or put out a candle, or pour medicine, or squeamishly reach towards you. If you're impatient, if you're an impatient, irritable sort, and ask her to leave, you will, in your illness and exasperation, hear her submissively sighing and weeping on the other side of the door, and whispering some sort of nonsense to your man. If in the end you're still alive, your loving wife, who hasn't slept the 20 nights you were ill, as she constantly reminds you, herself falls ill, wastes away, suffers, and is even less capable of any activity, and then, when you're well again, conveys her self-immolating love merely by the meek tedium that she involuntarily imparts to you and everyone around her. The third kind, practical love, strives to satisfy all needs, desires, whims, and even vices of the beloved being. People who love this way always love their whole lives, since the more they love, the more they come to know the object of their love, and the easier it is for them to love, that is, satisfy his desires. Rarely is their love expressed in words, but if it is, then not in a self-satisfied, beautiful way, but in an embarrassed, awkward one, since such people are always afraid that they don't love enough. They love even the vices of the beloved being, because those vices give them an opportunity to satisfy ever newer desires. They seek mutuality, and even gladly deceive themselves about it, and believe in it, and are happy if they have it. But they love no less without it, and not only want happiness for the object of their love, but continually try to obtain it for him with all the mental and material means, both great and small, that lie within their power. That was that was the It was that kind of practical love for her nephew and niece, and for his sister and Lyubov Sergeyevna, and even for me, because Dmitri was fond of me, that shone in Sofia Ivanovna's eyes and in her every word and gesture. I would come to appreciate Sofia Ivanovna fully only much later, but even then the question occurred to me why Dmitri, who was trying to understand love in quite a different way from the young people usually do, and who, moreover, had always had the sweet, loving Sofia Ivanovna before him, had nevertheless suddenly fallen passionately in love with the incomprehensible Lyubov Sergeyevna, while merely supposing that his aunt possessed good qualities too. The saying would seem to be true: a prophet is not without honor save in his own country. It's one of two things: either there really is more bad than good in every person, or else people are more receptive to the bad than to the good. Dmitri hadn't known Lyubov Sergeyevna very long, but he had experienced his aunt's love from the day he was born.